Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here with another Glimmer project using, of course, the Spellbinders Glimmer Hot Foil System. And the plates that we're going to be using today are from the Christmas Foiled Basics by Yana Smakula collection. So if you remember, she had a collection before. Now this one's actually focused on Christmas. So this one here is the Christmas foliage background. So you've got some great images here. And what we're going to do is we're going to make this a continuous panel on our cardstock. And then, of course, we have this one. So you can make this one a border. This one's actually called Glimmer Gift Border. I'm actually going to make it like a full panel, like I did for the Glimmer Kit of the month for August, the crafty one. I'm going to do the similar thing here. And then I'm going to show a different way that you can cut down, or I'm going to cut down. I'm sure you've all seen it before, but have like this step down to the sentiment inside the card. So let's get going. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to foil my pieces. So I'm going to use a piece of blue cardstock for the presents, and the foil that I'm going to use is called Prism. It's a really pretty prism. It's one of my favorites. I know I didn't grab opal. And then for the foliage, I'm going to use a red cardstock, and I'm going to use the classic gold. So let me see if I can find the opening here. And that's what our gold looks like, of course. All right, so I am going to glimmer all these. I'll link down below the video where I show how to use this system. That'll be linked down below, but I want to focus on the techniques, not so much how to use this system. There are many videos out there, and I have a few linked in my video description. So I'm just going to glimmer these off camera, and I'm going to glimmer my sentiments as well, and we will be right back. Okay, we are back. So this is the panel that I glimmered using the gold foiling and this plate. So pretty much what you're doing is you're putting this panel down like this. And then after it's done, you're literally just turning it and putting it here. Now, I just used this border here as my guide. This piece of cardstock is cut to be 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So it's going to cover the entire front of my standard A2 size card base. Same thing with this one. But what we're going to do is we're going to keep on drilling down, so to speak. All right. So same thing with this one. Now I got a little bit, I guess I didn't have enough pressure here for this one, and it kind of shifted. But that's okay. I'm good with it. Again, we're going to cut a hole in the center of these. So what I'm going to do, I grabbed my nesting circle dies, and I want the largest one. And I'm going to put that here. So see, we're going to cut most of this out. And I'm going to center it on my cardstock. And I'm going to use an extremely low tack tape. And of course, I'm looking for that. It's usually right here. Okay, well, we'll just use this one. Because I'm going to be taping on my glimmer. But again, it's not going to be anything I'm really going to be worried about. Only because I'm going to be pulling this off anyway. Or pulling that out. And I'm going to do one of these at a time because I want this same circle for both of these. Now I could make this circle smaller. But I still want to have the same tier to go down. So I am going to run this, and I'll do this one. I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine, and I'll show you what we do when we come back. So now we have our circles cut out where we want them. Now these are foiled. I mean, you could probably save them for scraps, you know, for the other side if you wanted to. Now I'm going to set this one aside because I'm actually done with that one. Now what I've done is I've cut down some cardstock. And my next one is going to be this one. So what I want to do is I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to set this up right in the center. It's almost as if I'm creating a frame. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to tack that in place. I don't want that to move. So again, it's like I'm creating the mat. Then I'm going to take my next die and I'm going to set this here. And I'm going to center that in place. And again, same thing. I'm just going to take my washi, put it towards the inside, and die cut that. And I will do that for both of these. So here we are. We're going to do the same thing. I'm going to set that down in place. I'm going to use just small amounts of washi just to hold it in place for right now. There was one of the things I didn't show you before. Just to hold that in place so that I can take this die and center it right in between here. And then take, got a lot of washi tape around me there. And then take a couple of pieces of small washi. Again, just eyeballing it and getting that taped down. Now, what I want to do before I run this through my die cutting machine, I want to take off my cover that I measured that on. And now I'm going to run this through my die cutting machine. Okay, so here is this panel. And then again, if I place this on top, I have that metallic border that's going around as well. Now, we still have one more. Now, I wasn't sure. I think for this one, I do want to go with the green. And I think for this one, I do want to go with the blue. Yes. So we're going to go down one more level. So I'm going to do the same thing. Now this is cut the same as this. These panels, the foil panels, were cut 4 by 5 1/4. These are the same exact size, the next level that I have. So I'm just going to put them right on top of each other. I'm going to grab my next ring, my next circle, and I'm going to set that in place. Same thing. I'm going to tape it down to the inside. And then I'm going to run them through my die cutting machine. I can easily remove that one, and we'll be right back. Okay, so if I take this and layer those up, and then I take my top panel and I can just, again, eyeball that to put that there, I get this tunnel. I get this step down on this card that I think is really pretty. So I'm not going to put these together though, but just to show you what this one looks like. So that just has that hint of green. And now what I want to do is I want to take the bottom card that we cut, and I want to place that on top of my panel. And I'm just going to real quick temporarily get that taped into place. Now again, this is on the premise then we are even on the other one. I'm going to set my piece of foil down and I'm going to grab my die. And this just simply says Merry Christmas. And I'm going to foil directly onto the card panel. The panel, it's the card, the standard A2 size card base itself. And I'm going to center this. And I'm just going to set that right there. I'm going to take a couple pieces of washi. And I'm going to get that taped into place. I'm going to remove that piece of paper that we've got going on there. And now I'm going to set this down onto my glimmer plate so that it will, I just got to pull this back out. Sometimes if you let them sit there too long, they actually, it's not that it turns off, but it kind of goes into a sleep mode. And for me to wake it up, sorry about that, shook the table. What I do is I just pull the tray out and I push it back in. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to unfold it. I only want the one layer to sit on the hot plate. And I'm going to set that down. And then I'm going to take my two plates as well and set that on there also. And I do want this to be centered just a little bit. When I'm doing a sentiment, I really do like it to be centered on the platform. So we'll be right back. I'll show you that, and then I'll show you the other one as well, because we're going to do the same thing. We are going to grab our piece, line that up in the center, and I can at least get the foil in place. I'm going to have that in the center as much as I can. Just tack her down. And then I'm going to use the gold. So I'm just going to put that in place and then just tack that. But I do want to keep this piece in there as well, because I do want to make sure my sentiment is centered. So when we come back, we will be all foiled with the sentiment right on the card base itself. Okay, so excuse me. So now we have our card base is done. So you can see we have our sentiment foiled where we want it onto our standard A2 size card base. So I'm just going to push this back just a little bit. I'm going to use my score tool. And now we're going to grab our bases. So let's start with our gold one. So I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to put glue on this side of my panel. Usually it's the other way around. So I'm going to use my liquid adhesive, make sure I'm going around the opening. And I'm going to make sure that this is centered. And now I'm going to make sure, and that's okay, this glue dries clear. And I'm just going to make sure that I'm just going to eyeball that to be in the center there. And I'm just going to come in with a baby wipe to wipe that off. It's all good. See? All cleaned. So we have that. Now I'm just going to dry it. There we go. Now all better. Then I'm going to add glue just to the gold section. I'm going to remember to stay away from the edge. You want to get close to the edge, but you don't want to go over the edge. Especially when you're starting out on this one. And then we're going to place this right on top because we can just eyeball for the circles. This should be the same size as your gold piece or whatever cardstock you're using. So at the same time, you're kind of giving it some dimension. Now we can grab our double-sided foam tape and add some for that as well, which of course we must do because I love dimension. So you can use this techniques to make shaker cards, or again just to do what I'm doing, just to add, you know, simple dimension to your front. And I'll only do this dimension to this one because, you know, this is like watching paint dry in a video. I'm just saying. Paint drying. I'm just saying. And let's see, I just need my pokey tool because this double-sided foam tape does not have a great release. So I just come in on the corner with a pokey tool, push down the foam, grab the release paper, and then I can make this work. It's very inexpensive, but this would be why. And I should have done the other side first. Okay. So now I'm going to grab this, make sure I have my gold one, and I'm going to make sure that I'm setting this down where it should be. And see, I almost put it on upside down. And we're going to go right there. So you see, we have our sentiment in the center. And then we have our card front, our card panel covering the front. Now you could actually go one more level if you wanted to. If your sentiment was a little bit smaller, cut through the card base and put it right onto your card base on the inside. So you'd have like a little bit of interaction there as well. So I'm going to do the same thing minus the double-sided foam. I'm going to put my first panel on, and again that one's cut just a little bit smaller, so I'm just going to make sure that it's centered within this one. Now I made the panels big, or just, you know, the next size smaller from the main panel so that it would have some stability. If I just cut the panels, you know, like made them squares, then this top would be just a little bit flimsy. And I didn't want that to happen. So by keeping them this side, yes, you are wasting cardstock, but you are keeping the stability of the card. So keep that in mind. Now I'm a little bit off on that one, but that's okay. Probably add something just a little bit interesting to the front because you can see this panel went a little bit crooked. But that's okay. We let that go. Again, remember, these are handmade cards. We are not Hallmark. We are just not Hallmark. We all make beautiful cards. They are art. And they are handmade by you. Each one is unique in its own way. So I do hope that you enjoyed these. I hope you got a few tips and tricks on how you can take those half or border glimmer plates and turn them into an entire background for your cards, just creating some interest and a stepping stone to come down, whether you use your double-sided foam or you don't, you take it straight down onto the card. As always, all the products that I used will be listed down below in the video description. If you have any questions, please make sure you leave those down in the comments and I will make sure I get back to you as soon as I can. If you haven't already, I'd love for you to subscribe, be part of my group, join the gang, and make sure you ring the bell so that you know when the next video that you want to watch is ready and live for you. I want to thank you so much for taking this time out of your day to watch the video and spend some time with me. I truly do appreciate it and I am grateful. Everyone, continue to enjoy your day, continue to smile, continue to stay safe and healthy, but remember what's most important to me, even if you just do it for a little bit. Always be creative. Take care, everyone. Till next time.